Guilt is synthetic and doesn't exist, as does shame. It also doesn't exist. Fear, hatred, jealousy, envy, ownership, and falsity, the counterfeit. Only truth exists. Guilt is a synthetic emotion on a low frequency that almost basically doesn't exist. But by giving it power, you make it exist and you co-create it. Guilt is fabricated. It's not real. People will argue, but you need guilt and you need condemnation for if you do something wrong. But if you're following truth, it can't be wrong. And therefore, there is no guilt. And if there is guilt and you're, following the right path and you're doing what's true, and you're feeling guilt for that, you're just, for no reason, putting yourself on a low frequency for nothing. That doesn't even exist. And because you're a creator, you're making the creation of the guilt and the shame. You get to choose if it exists or doesn't exist. You get to choose if the negative antimatter vortex exists or not. And you give it power. You power it. Or you remove its power, neutralizing it. And so guilt doesn't exist, and it's synthetic. And it's a counterfeiting mechanism that they use, that the counterfeits use to counterfeit you. Illness doesn't exist, but it exists when you give it power and you, as the creator, agree to the entrapment, consent to it, and believe in it. And by your belief, you give it the energy to exist. And you, therefore, mind bend and alter reality that way, manifest-wise. You get to choose what is and isn't real in your reality. If it's synthetic, why even give it power? Oh, and time too. Time and numbers are also a counterfeit system, even though it's utilized in this reality. Numbers, especially numbers, are a false counterfeit system to create a separate reality system that nets ours, like creates a net. The numbers are the system. And so time, money, quantifying, like love is infinite and eternal, so it cannot be quantified anyway. The truth is infinite and eternal and can't be quantified. So why try to quantify something you can't quantify? Why try to trap something that cannot be trapped in a net? Like, why trap the butterfly that you'll never be able to catch? The butterfly that doesn't belong to you, and it will never belong to you. You will never belong to it, but you and it just exist on their own. And if it comes back to you, it comes back to you. Why try to keep it in a net? A ring on a finger, the sliding of metal onto a round and binding, in a similar way, like a cage, a metal cage around oneself of captivity, of imprisonment, of binding. The cage is not only made of metal god, right? Interestingly enough, it's also a web and a net. The cage is a metal net, which mirrors the cage that we're in the Matrix, made of numbers. It's metal numbers. If the Kabbalah-based system is enough to lend to the whole proof of existence of that things happen in numbers and are programmed to happen in numbers, like a computer, binary, the 0 and 1s, right? It's all made up of 0s and 1s, the duality, the binary. And to create a program, you create via the combination of numbers and a combination of the opposites, the cliche and the negative space. So this is all being downloaded on the spot. Time doesn't exist. That's why time doesn't exist, because time, including the calendar, including the year number, the numeric value of the day, of the week, of the hour, doesn't exist because that's the cage. Oh, it's Monday, February 20th. Oh, it's 11 p.m. It's dark outside. This is the reality of it. This is what it is. And it has to be that day. It can't actually be December 20th. We're in February, right? It can't be the year 1972. It has to be 2023. Somehow we agree upon this. Although it's saying the same thing as the truth, it's just counterfeiting it by putting a number on it in a consent entrapment form, because actually the date is this unique moment in time that you'll never be able to get back, that's exact in this very second, millisecond, split second of a moment, that are a bunch of moments on a pathway, forward and backward. It just is. It's like the opposite to time is isness. The opposite to the cage is infinite freedom. And the duality system of heaven and hell, perhaps, in this situation, are like the binary numbers. They don't exist. We like duality, don't we, here? We really do. But there's the counterfeit, which is the entire setup, or freedom from it. Everything's numbered, everything including the alphabet. Our own language is a program. And the frequencies of the keys on a piano, the frequencies that we feel here, are all numbered. And they have an assigned amount given to them, if you will. Money is a form of numbers and a form of frequency of energy, that they have captured the frequency, the energy itself, and captured it into a number, an amount. They've also captured the time into an amount, age into an amount. They've captured music into an amount. Frequencies. Actually, I feel like science has a big role to play in the capturing of reality via the camera observative force. The electrons can't be free, they must be captured on camera. The feeling cannot be true and expressive in the unique moment. It has to look like the moment captured on a video, like, oh yeah, you nod your head and you do this, and it has to be done to the paradigm. It can't be outside the paradigm in its own unique cliche. Everything is within the paradigm of numbers, or in the structure of numbers. Nothing is really free then. And it's made that way on purpose. Do we believe it? Do we give it power via belief? Or do we take it down? By removing our belief in our energetic transfer that we're giving it. So I feel like easily. You get to choose. I get to choose what reality becomes. Thank you for watching.